Okay. All right. So let's see if we can get Ski back going here. I know we had a little technical difficulty, but we'll see what we can do to get this show back on the road here. Like I said, bring you guys back to speed, up to speed a little bit. What we discussed, we talked about Ski ride coming up North Carolina, going to New York, working with Jay Z, getting the Camp Low stuff together. Now, kind of bringing it up a little bit more on the Camp Low stuff. So, and let's get it going. All right, there he is.
My bad. My
Hey,
battery's died.
hey, man, not a problem, not a problem. So I broke it down to people a little bit. So we talked about the original flavor, we talked about the Jay Z. So that brings us into Camp Low. So you were talking about working with Sonny Chiba, working with Geechee.
Yeah.
So now that that's happening, where are we at with the music creation process, and where that album really kind of Uptown Saturday Night really takes shape?
Yeah, man. It's funny because Lucchini was actually the last song that we recorded. We had everything in the my bad. We had everything in the can, and Profile was like, "Yo, we need one more record. We need something that's gonna knock it out the park."
Right.
And Lucchini was like that, ninth ending type of joint. We had a little pressure on us, but when I found a sample, I knew that was it.
So what was it about the sample? Because you know what, dude, it wasn't until, and this is terrible of me to admit this, but I'm going to admit it. Like, I didn't know where that sample came from till we talked about it the other day.
Get out of here.
Yeah. It shows you how much attention I paid to Janet Jackson's Control album back in 86, 87. Because I'm like listening. I'm like, there's no way he got it. And I'm like, oh, man.
Well, I mean, Lucchini didn't come from Janet. Lucchini came from Dynasty.
No, the Lucchini, you know what I'm thinking of was
Cooley High.
The Cooley High joint.
Yeah.
When we were talking about that, because you told me that Cooley High, the Profile liked it, but it didn't catch on. It caught on, but it wasn't maybe as big as they wanted it to be, or like it was,
right.
gaining good traction, good album cut, so to speak. I guess I love that. I love.
Yeah, Cooley High was definitely the introduction to Camp Low. It was a cool record, but it wasn't the over the top one for him. But it introduced everybody to the funny hats, to the weird style. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when I heard Cooley High, it almost kind of gave me like an updated Moments in Love kind of feel, just how the sample was working in there and all that stuff. So,
and you know what? It's funny because the original version wasn't a sample. I mean, was a sample, but the version that you hear, it wasn't a sample. It was like we replayed everything. We got a girl.
And that's what tripped me out, because when I went back to that Janet record, I'm like, there's no way. I don't want to say there's no way, but I'm listening. I'm like, they got to, like, dude had to come in and play some stuff on that joint, because it's too different. There's too many vocals in the Janet.
Yeah.
So he comes in, replays that. I mean, shoot, that's the play right there. So tell people about the Lucchini joint. Like, that record was massive. I mean, it's a classic record.
Yeah, man, that's definitely definitely one of my biggest records, man. It's just a timeless, feel good, has that that good energy, that positive energy. Every time you hear it, it just makes you feel all warm and fuzzy inside. You know what I mean? It's one of those kind of records.
Yeah. So I mean, what was it about? Like, what do you think it was? I mean, what do you think it was about that whole Camp Low vibe that people really gravitated to? Because it just didn't sound like anything else. It just didn't. It was unique.
There it is. That's it. The uniqueness of it, the originality of it. It was just,
it
was different. And that's what I loved about hip hop back then. It was like so many different chambers. You had like a Camp Low, you had like a Daylight, you had like a Jay Z, you had like all these different characters in hip hop. A Biggie Small. Everybody had their own look, their own sound. It was amazing, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like it could all fit. Like it had like
Yeah.
you could be different and not necessarily be crowded out.
Right.
You
Right.
know, and I think that's what was pretty special about Camp Lo at the time. So what? And I was explaining to everybody that about that you did nearly the album. It was except for one joint.
Right.
So what's your favorite record on there? Like as far as because it's a heavy album. I mean, it's not like 8 or 9 songs. I mean, there's what, 15, 16 joints on there, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your favorite? Like what's one of your favorites?
One of my favorites, Crystal Carrington. It's crazy. Black Connection was crazy. Sparkle was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and then because didn't you do let me make sure. Okay, you did a remix to Sparkle though, didn't you?
We did that
Mr. Midnight.
The Mr. Midnight mix without the drums, just the music.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy right there.
Mm-hmm.
And especially listening to that now, where the trend for the last several years has been to do beats without drums. So to hear that, I think it's I don't know. It just, when I heard it, it was tripping me out. It came on my Spotify, and I was like, man, I forgot about this, man.
Yeah, man.
And I'm like, okay. And I forgot you did that one. I thought somebody else hooked it up, but I went back and saw. I'm like, fucking Ski. But I mean, it's dope. But okay, so we're 97 right here. Camp Lo's jumping off. So at this point, tell everybody a little bit. I know we got gearheads that are always, checking in. So tell people what equipment you're using around this time.
Around this time, all the Reasonable Doubt stuff. That was the SP1200 and the Akai S950.
Right.
Lucchini, I did it on the 3000.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. But everything else was on the SP1200 and 950. Towards the end of the album, one of my homeboys, Manny Mad Dog, I did a track for him, and in return, he bought me the 3000. So Lucchini was my first record I did on the 3000.
Hey, man, you might tell him thanks for paying it forward. I guess maybe that makes up for that Biz Markie.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. Well, the universe worked out. So yeah, like I said, 97, take us into 98. You got big things jumping right now. So you're not really, you're not doing the Rockefeller stuff,
right,
like you were, and no beef. So why don't you clear that up? Why you weren't doing music on, Jay's third album, really after In My Lifetime Volume 1?
Okay. Well, I mean, what basically happened was, I started getting like a lot of production work. You started hearing like the Bahamadeers, what I'm saying, the John Blazes, all these other records. And I got offered to do to do a record label through Columbia Roughhouse. So what I did was I took the offer. I set up my own record label called Rocker Block. I signed the Sporty Thieves and Pace One, and I started putting out records.
See, okay. And, it's funny. I was looking at something the other day. I was looking at, I had a promo copy of the Sporty Thieves CD. I was like, oh, my God, I still got this. So, because, and that's another thing, too. I actually, end of last year, I finished up, which was really dope, Chris Schwartz's book about Roughhouse and that whole history of the Roughhouse trajectory, and then everything, with the Fugees with Lawrence. So
right,
when that deal came around, and we don't have to obviously talk numbers or anything like that, I'm assuming Roughhouse, after all the, like I said, the Fuji stuff, Cypress Hill stuff, the major records, that deal had to look pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So
yeah, it was a great deal.
So what were the particulars? Like, so what did the deal entail as far as for what kind of freedom you had as far as, artists, the distribution of those artists? What was the, kind of give people a little rundown of that?
I had total control. I could sign whomever I wanted to. I could make whatever I wanted to. Total control. They would just distribute everything. and promote it and market everything. But they left when it came to the music and the artists, they left everything up to me.
Okay. So what happened? I mean, you know, and like I said, reading in the book, I kind of saw that there was, you know, after when Lauren's album was coming out, there was some tension
Right.
between Columbia and, well, the whole Sony relationship, which obviously Columbia being a subsidiary. How did that affect you and Rockablock? You know, as far as that turmoil at Rough House.
I didn't really feel too much of that because I wasn't, you know, I didn't know the backstory or the business that they had with the Fugees. I just knew that I was putting out my records and my records was doing what it was doing. And, you know.
So, okay, what I'm saying is, like, you know, and people are chiming in here too with Outsiders and, you know, Sporty Thieves, Pace One, what have you.
Right.
Those are dope artists, man. I'm just trying to figure out, and I know a lot changed. We all kind of, I look at 98 as a big year of change in hip hop. Like, you know, that's why I think the Camp Lo, I don't think that project could have come any more on time than it did.
Right.
Because, you know, I think a year later, it may not have been received, or a year or two later, I don't know if it would have been received as well, just because, just the changing times. And I like I said, I don't know for sure. But so what happened with the whole imprint? Because it sounded like you really had things ready to go. I always meant to ask you that.
Yeah. We you know, it was moving, it was going. You know, Sporty Thieves, they went. I think the Pigeon record went gold. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pace never really took off how he supposed to have, but he did well on the end. And I kind of think, you know, when Rough House was going through whatever they was going through, they kind of, you know, shut everything down. You know, they kind of shut everything down. And so after that,
and I think that's because that's what it. After reading that book, and I suggest any hip hop fan, any music fan really, to read that book, because it's an honest look at an independent label and their rise,
right?
You know, and just, I mean, this is everything, you know, from you know, they talk about everything from Nas to, like I said, Fugees to Lauryn Hill, but they talk about, there's a lot of, like, just good common sense in there that, you know, Chris is talking about. So you've got around this time too a record that maybe not everybody remembers but needs to remember, in my opinion, is that Fat Joe record. So, man, tell people how that came about, because I had no idea. I didn't understand the backstory until you were telling me the other day.
Yeah, my man Reef, he was A&R in Fat Joe's project up at Atlantic Records, and he needed a remix, you know, for the song John Blaze. He played me the original, and he said, "Yo, you think you can, you know, remix this record?" And I said, "Yeah, just set up the studio time. I'll make the beat in the studio." So I went to the studio. You know, Joe was there, Reef was there. You know, I was doing what I do, digging through the records, found a mandrill sample, chopped it up. You know, it was working. It felt good. I said, "Yo, you know, it'll sound dope if we had, like, you know, some live violins." And Reef, you know, he called some musicians. The lady, I forgot her name, but she came through with her violin. She laid down that infamous intro part. And Reef did the DJing, you know, added the John Blaze thing. And it turned out dope. The only part I didn't like was it was a remix, so I didn't get to actually sit down with Pun or Nas or Jadakiss or none of that. The vocals were already there. I just added the beat. But Joe was there, and Joe loved it. And it came out crazy, man. It came out crazy.
Yeah. No, and like like I said the other day, I think that was, you know, hands down the best record on that album. And I mean, that was a big album for Joe. But I think that John Blaze, what you did, I think it was just hot, man. It really was. So
the funny thing is when you're making these records, you're not even thinking that they're gonna be these records. You're just making records. You know what I'm saying? It comes out, you keep going. It comes out, it keeps going. You never know what's gonna stick, bro. You never know how people are gonna take it. You never know how long it's gonna last. But I mean, I was blessed enough to make some records that, you know, withstood the test of time, and I'm grateful for that.
Oh man, dude, no question about it. You know, so you got this. So we're moving into the 2000s. You know, tell people what you're doing, you know, at this time. You know, what's going on in the life of Ski, turn of the century? What's going on?
Around 2000.
Yeah.
Man, I had moved back to North Carolina, got married, had a kid, got a house. I was living the regular life. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I even the crazy thing is, and I don't think I told you this, when I was in North Carolina, I started this record label called Now City. And I got
No.
it was 3 artists. It was Kia Smith, Mr. Dolo, and Little Rise. And I got them a record deal with Elektra.
Okay.
Yeah. We signed for some big bread and everything, but the album never came out. And I also got another artist by the name of MOS. I got him signed to Jive. And I was doing all of this while I was in North Carolina. I got him signed to Jive record. And then I got this artist by the name of Pittsburgh Slim. I got him signed to Def. Remember Slimmy? I got him signed to Def Jam through Jay-Z. And I did all of this while I was in NC before I came back to New York.
Wow. Okay.
Which was crazy.
Yeah, you didn't mention that. So where's the album at? Where's the album on that group? I mean,
Now City
in your archives?
Still sitting in the archives, yeah.
Well, okay. Is there any chance of that seeing the light of day one of these days?
You know, there's a song on YouTube called After Hours by Now City. Check it out.
Yeah, because because like I said, you got a lot of stuff out there, man. Jeez, you got a lot of stuff out there. So that's what I was wondering. I mean, where, there's so much music I can imagine that you've done that hasn't come out. So you're an NC, living a good life, domesticated, so to speak, kind of doing family man type stuff.
Right.
So what brings you back, man? It's like that Godfather paradox, they pulling you back in, and they're getting you back to NYC.
So I'm down south. I'm in North Carolina. Everything's good, but I'm not making no money. You know what I'm saying? My money's starting to trickle, starting to go away. So I'm like, I got to get back to NY and see if I can make something happen. So I moved back to NY, and I reached out to Dame, And when I was reaching out to Dame, I wasn't reaching out to like, yo, man, I need to get on, blah, blah, blah. I was just reaching out to him because I had his number and I was back in NY. Hit him up. And around the time I hit him up, he was doing that whole Black Rock thing. He invited me to, come to Brooklyn to come check out what him and the Black Keys was doing. So I go into the studio, I see Pharoah Monch, RZA's there, and they making some incredible music. These rock guys killing it, MCs on it. I'm like, yo, this is amazing. And he's like, yo, you need to come to the office, sit down, maybe we can do something. So that's how the whole DD 172 karate school thing happened. When I went there, he told me to he showed me a room and said, yo, you should set up, bring your equipment and just set up in one of these rooms and just, sit here and make some music. So that's what I did. And what's crazy, because with Dame, he would have like someone come visit him that day. Like most Def would come see Dame just to talk to him. Yeah. He'll say, hey, Ski's in the back. Y'all should do a song real quick. So most Def's coming to the back. I'm making a beat. Next thing you know, we got Taxi. Next thing you know, we got Cream of the Planet. You feel me?
And that's another thing too. I want to actually play. I want to play a little bit of this.
Oh God, bang bang, it's a wall, the hearts. We can either make
Yeah. So can I talk about where that came from and we geek out a little bit on the sample?
Let's go.
All right. What made you chop up Thin Line Between Love and Hate?
I like the song. I like this. It was soulful, man. It was soulful, and it felt good when I was chopping it on the pads. It just felt good.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm listening to that, and I'm like, when that came, I'm like, who would do? And it was so clever because most people weren't really, they weren't chopping up Thin Line, Between Love and Hate. But it also made me want more records from you and Mos. So why didn't more records get made? Let me ask that.
Politics with Mos and doing business, and him and Dame, they wasn't seeing eye to eye on certain things, so we couldn't keep it going.
Yeah.
Mos did his thing, and we just kept doing the whole DD 172 thing with Spitter, with Currency.
Yeah. So now, you talk about the whole currency relationship, and I let people know too that Pilot Talk 4 is en route. It's coming. It's coming. But back it up a little bit. Talk about the whole how that whole currency relationship came, because that's that wasn't something that I think anybody would have really predicted, but it's worked out lovely.
Right.
So,
well, Dame's nephew was telling Dame about Currency, like, yo, it's this new kid, Currency, you need to check him out. So Dame said, hook it up.
right.
And I think Currency ended up, coming to see Dame. So I, coming to Dame crib, and Currency's, sitting on the beanbag. And Dame was like, yo, this is a kid, Currency, man. He want to meet you, da-da-da-da-da. So I meet Currency. He's like, yo, I love your work. I'm a fan of your work. We need to do something. And he, I never heard his music. I don't know anything about this kid at all. But I knew he's from New Orleans. And I know at the time, bounce music, all that was popping. And I'm like, well, I don't really make your kind of music. And he was like, yo, I don't want you to make what you think I want. I want you to make what you do. I like what you do. And so as I got to know him, and I saw, he loves to smoke. He's laid back. He's real, he's like that. So I said, I got to give him music that's like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I started, finding a pocket for him. And that's, how we created that sound. I think the first record we did was Life Under the Scope. We caught that little energy, melodic, still kind of hip hop. You know what I'm saying? It fit his voice well. And then we started working on Pilot Talk after that, man, and everything just started clicking with the live musicians and the real groovy music. You know what I'm saying? It just worked.
Well, you were saying too, he's like a real soulful cat. As far as the music that Currency would listen to and then would want to spit on.
Yeah. He was telling me he was a big Marvin Gaye fan. He said he likes that vibe, a lot of soulful stuff. He's into that.
Right. So, Pilot Talk 1 and 2, so you were saying you had recorded so much content that it was just natural to do a Pilot Talk 2.
It was done. Pilot Talk 2 was done when 1 was done. It was done at the same time. We just didn't want to drop it all at the same time.
Okay. And then so explain the difference of Pilot Talk 3 from 1 and 2, because there's it seems like there's a little bit of a like a sonic deviation, if you will.
Yeah. Pilot Talk 3 wasn't, it wasn't it was a dope album, but it wasn't as focused as 1 and 2. Because obviously we wasn't at D&D. Not D&D, but DD 172 anymore. Currency was in New Orleans. He was, working with other people, and I was, over here doing my thing. So it wasn't that in your face type of, vibe that we had when we did 1 and 2. So it's obviously gonna sound different. But number four doesn't sound like 1 or 2 at all, but you can tell that we was together. You feel me? It sounds cohesive.
So I kind of told people basically it's you back to chopping samples.
Mm-hmm.
It's your bass player, and it's Currency.
Yeah.
Just kind of no frills, no bullshit, just some dope music.
And we did the whole album on a tour bus. We did the whole album while we was on tour.
Which is crazy.
Which made it that made it dope.
I'll tell you, man. So, okay, so with the DD172, because a lot of people, I forgot you did a project with Murs for a second too.
Yeah.
I was going. So you're releasing. So talk about some of the releases that came out around that time, because you were putting out some music, man.
Yeah, we had Murs. I did an album with Tabby Bonet. I did an album with Locksmith. You know what I'm saying? I did Twilight. I did another a karate school album.
2.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So that's what I mean. So you're doing that, and then I think what was clever, and I didn't realize it till you explained the other day. So talk about how you transition, and I don't want to say transition from a producer, but add to your resume the whole sound design component. So I think people would be really interested to hear that story and how that all came about.
Well, I was always interested in sound design. I would have like keyboards and in my MPC, and I would be looking at these different parameters like envelopes and filters and all this thing, and I didn't know what it was at the time because I was strictly into sampling and chopping and making beats. You know what I mean? But I always saw these different functions on my, on my equipment, and I wanted to learn what it was. And I had the opportunity one day when I Dub Spot, they asked me to do like a little seminar thing on Ableton, on how I make hip hop in Ableton. And I asked them, I said, look, instead of paying me, can I take one of your classes over there? Right? And so I took a sound design class at Dubspot for it was like almost a year long the class took. But
Right.
it was dope. You know what I'm saying? I learned all types of shit. Everything on all of this equipment, I know exactly what to do. You know what I'm saying? I really buckled down and learned all that shit, man. And I started translating it into the music, you know what I'm saying? I started translating it into everything that I do. And it's
Well, and that's
amazing.
the story. Yeah, and I think that's what I think people need to hear, that is you could have easily settled for the money. You could have easily said, okay, whatever the speaking engagement fee is and
Right.
taking that. But instead you invested in yourself. And I think that's what, a lot of people need to see. So instead of just, okay, I got my check, I'm happy, let me go blow that on something, you're saying, nah, let me invest in myself so I can really, make the most out of this going forward. Because now with the sound design, you got the dojo. So you got to talk about the dojo.
I mean, the dojo is so crazy. That all came from the 24-hour karate school. I started calling the studio the dojo. The band was the senseis. We kept with the whole thing. But it wasn't corny. When I said dojo, I didn't really mean karate. I wasn't thinking karate. I was thinking more like a place where you can sit down and you're disciplined and you get your skills up. It's the dojo. You know what I'm saying? It's the training ground. You feel me? It's the training room. That's why I called it the dojo. And it made sense to call my classes that. It just made sense because it's a fucking classroom, dog. It's a dojo, and we learning how to. We learning new techniques with production. We advancing our skills. We adding more tools to the tool belt. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so, but then that went into, are you able to talk about the curriculum too? Are we cool talking about that?
Oh yeah, we could talk about that.
Because I thought that was extremely clever. What you did with the sound design curriculum and all that. I think that's just something else that shows your skills and your evolution, man. That's what people got to see. Is it's not like, okay, this is the same ski using the SP and the 950 25 years later. You're elevating just to different levels where very few people can even venture. So talk about that. The curriculum idea is so dope.
It just made sense, man. I was doing a class down in North Carolina. My cousin was there, and she actually writes curriculums for the middle school where she works. And she said, hey, you should let me write a curriculum for my students, for the dojo. And I said, all right, cool. So I started creating all these videos of showing these kids how to work Ableton. And she started adding, her and her friend Emily, they started adding the lesson plan behind all the curriculums. And so when we presented it to the school system down there in Yanceyville, they loved it, and they implemented it within the school system. And to this day, the kids love it, man. We actually got another round. I got to do a part 2 soon. I got to start working on that.
No, so so how many kids are exposed to the curriculum?
Wow, it's a lot, man. I think it's like 300. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's 2 or 3 different schools down there. So, yeah, it's cool.
And see, that's just, man, like I said, dude, that's territory that people can only even hope to get to. So, big ups to you for doing all that. So, all right, so we got the curriculum going. What else is bubbling? I know you got this Smackback challenge and all that popping in the kit out right now. So why don't you talk about some of the projects you got out right now, man?
Well, man, we I do the Zoom, I do the online classes now, the online dojo classes, which is pretty cool. The challenges is cool. What I really enjoy about the challenges is I like to give the producers, the up and coming producers, I like to let them use my platform because I go to their pages and sometimes they don't have a lot of followers or a lot of views, but their beats be dope. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And it's really dope, you know, for them to use my page so they can get more views. And this last challenge, we actually had like 4 producers get placements, which was good, you know. So it made sense for them to, you know, it worked. You know what I'm saying? Everything is working. Like everybody is benefiting from this. You know what I mean? And,
Oh yeah.
And I feel like a lot of other, you know, quote unquote, you know, celebrities should do that, man. Should start, you know, letting people kind of use their platform to, you know, to get out there, because why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? Why
Seriously.
not? Why not?
I mean, yeah. I've seen less exciting ways to use social media. I'll say that. So,
Right.
you know,
right.
definitely to get that going. I mean, it makes sense. Plus, I mean, it's a great way to monetize things as well. I mean,
Right.
so it's like you were saying. What were you saying the other day? It was a win-win-win. You
It's
know,
a win-win-win for everybody, bro.
you know,
Everybody
it was 3 wins. So
3 wins.
no, I mean, so that's what's up. So talk about another one, and this is, you know, I know for like some of the lo-fi heads out there, talk about the new kit you got coming on for sounds.com.
Oh, the 404 food, right?
Right.
404 food. Basically, the concept is taking some drum sounds and I'm running it through the 404, and I'm just giving it that, you know, that 404 sound. So for producers who don't have a 404 but they like the 404 type drum sounds, it'll be right there for them.
Right. So no, that's dope. And the other project we were talking about, you can mention something about that for the Akai folks. We can talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, about to drop the Dojo Dust expansion pack for Akai. That should be coming out soon. Look out for that. It's all instruments. It's all like vintage basses and keys and chords and pads and things like that. So, you know, I know MPC, they don't have too many instruments. So this will be kind of cool for producers that, you know, for all the MPC based producers, this would definitely be useful for them, because I know me, when I'm on my MPC, I definitely need more keys and more basses when I don't have, you know, my things around me to use.
No, I mean, that's, and I thought the artwork was dope too. That was,
the game of death.
The game of death. So I thought, the colors were dope on that, man. That was, that was a nice nod to that. So, now, you know, another record I played was this, when the disconnect happened, was that Sam Scarfo record, man, with Prodigy. Woo! Shout out Brent on that one. Brent hit me to that years ago, and that record's a beast. How'd that come about?
Scarfo.
Yeah.
You know, he was Prodigy's manager, Marvis, was working with Scarfo, and Scarfo wanted to do some work with me, so we put together a project. And I like Scarfo. He's dope. You know what I mean? I like him. Yeah, he's ill. You know what I'm saying? He should definitely get way more light than he getting, man. Because we made some good records, bro. We definitely made a couple of good joints with him.
Dude, that joint there it's crazy. Like, I mean, that's high powered stuff right there. I mean, yeah, and Scarfo is nice, man. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why. You know, it's funny how some artists will just gain traction and others don't. And I don't.
That's what I said. You never know. You never know what's gonna stick, bro. You never know.
No, that's why it's funny when I was going back and I was listening to the Camp Low album. I'm like, if somebody made that nowadays, they do the whole thing without drums.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it would just, you know, which, you know, that's definitely another IG Live. I don't want to get on my soapbox about that tonight. But yeah, so what about any artist-based projects? What else you got as far as that goes, man? Anything you're working on?
I got a few things, man. I don't want to talk about it yet. I want to give it, you know, we need to get closer to finishing it before I can talk about it.
Okay. All right. I mean, no, we can leave it at that. But man, like I said, brother, I appreciate your time as always. I want to remind everybody, head over to 12bitsoul.com, enter in your email address. We're doing a raffle on Monday, which is June 1st, for Skis Smack Pack and our Dark Prophet analog synth kit. The two will merge well. You got the drums.
Let me get that kit, man. Let me get that kit, man.
Dude, I'll send it to you. Yes, I got you, man. I got you. As soon as we get off, you got it. Any posting, it would be dope.
They need to know how dope them 12-bit sounds are. Yo, to this day, I still use them SP1200 sounds.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hold on. Say that again.
I said, to this day, I still use them 12-bit SP1200 sounds. Incredible, bro. Y'all sounds are banging. Your drum sounds.
Hey, we appreciate it. You know, you got your Akai kit coming, your new one. We've got ours coming. This year we got some other stuff cooking.
You got
with native
the
instruments
R&B
as well.
thing, right?
Yeah, it's we call it progressive neo soul, and it's so it's not just like Fender Rhodes and Jay Dilla program style drums. It's and that sound is dope, but this has a 2020 sound to it, not a versus like a 99 2000 sound to it. It came out really nice. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. So Akai's doing some stuff with your kid coming, our kid coming.
Oh, yo, you know what? Hold up. Big shout out to my man Flux. He's on the line too. He's a dope.
He is on there.
Yes.
I see him,
Flux make the dope packs
good.
too.
Oh, Flux, he's dope, man. We saw him the last time we were out at NAMM. Ken's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. But yeah, we're it's a cool little community, man. But definitely we got to catch back up. But hey, appreciate your time, man. I'm glad we were able to get this part 2 going. So, and shout out to everybody who tuned in and was patient enough to deal with our technical difficulties.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right, bro. You'll have the kid tonight, man.
Peace.
All right.